Clearly the public sector is important to you because that's where a lot of funding comes from, but increasingly the private sector is starting to make a big difference to you, and that's an area that I know you want to grow. Give me an example of how and where private sector funding has been helpful to the Trust.
Well, I think we've had private sector funding or private sector companies look at individuals like us, come to the table with funding. The good thing about us is we can use that money as match to factor in outside funding. You know, public funding, we can put grants in, and if you're sitting there with 30, 40, 50 grand of funding, you know, we can go and get 3 years of funding and employ an officer to deliver a programme. You know, Network Rail, we had a relationship with them for 8 years. It was around about a crime message, it was about reduction of vandalism and trespassing on the railway lines. There was a reduction in the first 6 months of 26%. But we went and got match funding for that, which employed an officer for 3 years. And it was an ex-professional football player, so added huge credibility to the programme. But Network Rail were over the moon, A, because we doubled their money, B, we were able to reach a larger geographical area and more young people, and C, we were able to employ a dedicated officer. So I think where we're very, or agencies like us, community programs like us are very adept in maximising funding. You know, funding comes in via the private sector, we can take it to a whole new level.
So I'm here at the South East London training ground of Charlton Athletic Football Club, home of the award-winning Charlton Athletic Community Trust. I first came across the Trust a couple of years ago when I was talking to the football club about a commercial deal, and I was introduced to the community coaches and taken on a journey which, without being over dramatic about it, was almost like a road to Damascus for me, and it certainly changed my look, my business and how things are happening. I went into schools, into estates and into prisons, and the guy who sent me to prison 2 years ago, standing here on my right, Sean Daly. Hi Sean.
Hello Roger, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. Sean, tell me, what is your role within the Community Trust?
I'm Football Development Manager. Been at the Trust for 10 years now, and my role is to engage children as much as I can with the badge of the Trust, with football. So most of my days will be going into schools, education programmes, health programmes, advanced centres, where we would get young children that have done well on the community scheme and put them into the possibility of going into the academy, healthy eating projects, coach education projects, anything to do with football.
Okay, so there's a huge amount of variety in what you do. People would probably think that this is just about coaching kids to play football, but the Trust and the work that you do is much more varied than that. It includes literacy and numeracy in certain cases, doesn't it?
I think it's just using the football as a tool to engage children with education, to engage children about healthy living, engage children breaking down social barriers. Anything to enhance their development, I think you can use football as a gauge to do it. So I went to prison. The idea was to help them get an opportunity, so when they do come out of prison, can they get a coaching badge, can they get some employment, pathway to employment programs.
Absolutely. And what are some of the challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis in doing your job?
I've got 2 boroughs, Bexley and Greenwich, which we mostly work in. Greenwich is Olympic borough, but there are some deprived areas in here. Like today, I've been in a school day to day. In that school, there's probably 20 languages spoken in that school.
20 languages? 20
languages. So, you know, very multicultural school. No school uniform, not due to the children not the school not wanting a school uniform, but it's not the children can't afford it. You've got blocks of flats all the way around it. You've got school in the centre. The playground is like a sloped, football's rolling all over the place. Okay, and you've got to deal with that every day. That school as well hasn't had anybody pass their 11 plus in the last 5 years. So we're going in there, working with our numeracy and literacy programme, working with our sports programme. Can we get them engaged? Can we break down barriers? Can we get their education up? So hopefully it'd be great if one of them was in the next couple of years to be able to leave that school and go to a grammar school. But that's the sort of things that we'll deal with. You know, working in the prisons, you've got people there that probably just need a steer of what they want to do.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what we meet every day. We meet young people who just need a helping hand. Football's a great way of empowering them, and that's what we've been doing.
It seems to me that you work in a pretty tough environment. I don't necessarily mean here at the training ground, but in the communities, and it must stretch you and test you emotionally and physically. Are there any good news stories?
Yeah, I mean, every good news story is, you know, that when I leave that school today, you know, everyone's saying, "Oh, goodbye, Sean." The kids are like happy and that, so that's a great story for me, for them to go. I mean, the big one for us at the moment is a young boy 2 or 3 years ago. You might have met him when we were in the prison.
Yeah.
He left the prison, done a few years in the prison, came out. We did a mentoring program with him. Got him into our coaching education, got him into his level 2 badge, took him into schools, took him into work here in this environment, so it's a very professional environment. We still mentor him now, and he lives over in East London. Started up his own business, coaching business, and he's in 5 or 6 schools a week doing coaching. Now looking to do his level 3. We've got him here working at the academy. But all he needed was an opportunity, and I think the Charlton badge has done that for him. You know, the trust has gone in there, put his arm around him and said, well, how can we engage you back into employment? And that's what we've done with him.
Absolutely amazing. Sean, thanks very much. I'll let you get back to coaching the guys. Great to see
Thanks
you again.
so much, Roger. Thank you.
Pretty amazing stuff, really. In a world at the moment where footballers particularly can be seen as the villains of the piece, overpaid, too arrogant and disengaged with society, you come to a place like this and you meet guys like Sean, and he's not alone by any stretch of the imagination. He is particularly inspirational, I think, but he's not alone. And you see the work that they do and you realise that sport, football in this particular case, really can, as Nelson Mandela said, sport can change the world. That's what we believe in, and we believe it can change a business world and individuals. Thanks very much for listening.